Solar panels will save you money on your electric bill. That's what they tell you. What they don't tell you is that you'll need to spend between $15,000 and $30,000 up front to make that happen. And for most American families, that's not savings. That's impossible. I'm going to walk you through the real numbers behind residential solar installation, explain why the costs are so much higher than what you see in the advertisements, and show you what's actually driving these prices beyond the panels themselves. When you see those ads claiming solar panels pay for themselves in 5 to 7 years, they're using best-case scenarios that don't apply to most homes. They're assuming perfect roof orientation, maximum sun exposure, ideal local incentives, and zero complications during installation. Reality looks very different. Let's start with what solar companies advertise versus what people actually pay. You'll see ads talking about solar for as low as $99 a month, or claims that installation costs have dropped dramatically in recent years. Both of those things can be technically true while being completely misleading. The $99 monthly payment is typically a lease or power purchase agreement, not ownership. You're essentially renting the panels and paying the solar company for the electricity they generate. You don't own the system. You can't claim the tax credits. And if you want to sell your house, you have to either buy out the lease or convince the buyer to take it over. As for installation costs dropping, yes, the panels themselves are cheaper than they were 10 years ago. But panels are only about 25 to 30% of your total system cost. The rest is installation labor, electrical work, permits, inspections, inverters, mounting hardware, and all the other components needed to actually connect those panels to your home. Here's what a realistic solar installation actually costs for an average American home. For a typical system that offsets 70 to 80% of your electricity usage, you're looking at $15,000 to $25,000. In some states with higher labor costs or difficult roof access, that number can push past $30,000. Now, there are federal tax credits that can reduce that by about 30%. So if you spend $20,000, you might get $6,000 back when you file your taxes the following year. But here's the critical part. That's a tax credit, not a rebate. You only benefit if you have enough tax liability to claim it. If you're retired and living on Social Security, or if your income is low enough that you don't owe much in federal taxes, that credit doesn't help you. And you still need to come up with the full amount up front, then wait months to get the credit back. So let's say you do have the tax liability to claim the full credit. You're still looking at $14,000 out of pocket for a $20,000 system. That's a huge amount of money for most families. Can you finance it? Absolutely. Solar loans are everywhere now. But once you add interest over a 20-year loan term, you're often paying more in total than you would have just stayed with the grid. The math that solar companies show you assumes you're paying cash and claiming the full tax credit. Most people aren't doing either. Now let's talk about why these systems cost so much in the first place. The panels are manufactured overseas, mostly in China, where production costs are low. But getting them to your roof involves a complex chain of distributors, installers, sales commissions, and overhead costs that multiply the price several times over. A solar panel that costs the manufacturer $200 to make might cost the installation company $500 by the time it reaches them, and then gets marked up to $800 or more by the time it's included in your quote. Then there's the installation itself. Your roof needs to be in good condition. If it's not, you'll need to replace or repair it before panels can go up, because you don't want to have to remove a $15,000 solar array in 5 years just to fix roof damage. The electrical work has to be done by a licensed electrician. Permits have to be pulled. Inspections have to pass. The system has to be connected to the grid properly, which often requires upgrades to your electrical panel. All of that is labor. And labor is expensive. In many areas, the installation costs more than the equipment. You're not just buying panels, you're buying a complex electrical system that has to integrate with your home and the utility grid safely and legally. Here's another thing that doesn't get talked about enough. Solar panels degrade over time. Most come with a 25-year warranty, guaranteeing they'll still produce at least 80% of their original output by year 25. That sounds good until you realize it means they're producing less and less every year. So your year 1 savings are higher than your year 10 savings, which are higher than your year 20 savings. The inverter, which converts the DC power from your panels into AC power your home can use, typically needs to be replaced after 10 to 15 years. That's another $2,000 to $3,000. And if you live in an area with severe weather, hail damage, falling branches, or heavy snow loads. You're taking on risk that might not be covered by your homeowner's insurance depending on your policy. So when you add up the real costs, factor in degradation, account for maintenance and eventual component replacement, and compare it to what you'd pay staying on the grid. The break-even point for most people is somewhere between 15 and 25 years. That's not 5 to 7 years. That's potentially longer than you'll own the home. Now, does this mean solar is a bad investment for everyone? No. If you live in a state with high electricity rates, great sun exposure, and strong local incentives on top of the federal credit, the math can work in your favor. If you're planning to stay in your home for 30 years, you'll eventually come out ahead. But for most American families, especially those who move every 7 to 10 years on average, solar panels are a luxury purchase, not a money-saving necessity. And that's the part they don't emphasize in the sales pitch. The solar industry has grown by positioning itself as the smart financial choice for homeowners. And in some cases, it is. But in most cases, it's an expensive bet that the savings will eventually justify the upfront cost, assuming nothing goes wrong and you stay in the house long enough to see it through. I've put together a breakdown in the description of what actually drives solar installation costs and what alternatives exist for people who want to reduce their electricity bills without a 5-figure upfront investment. If you want to understand energy costs beyond the marketing, subscribe for practical analysis that looks at what these systems actually deliver versus what they promise. Solar works for some people. Just make sure you're one of them before you sign.